Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Play New Order Yunnan. Let's continue on for last left off. So, Luhan, he's not extremely happy with the role, right? Like, he's got to do what he's got to do to try to make sure that Yunnan does not get completely taken over by the central government, and by extension the Japanese. And everyone else hates him, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, looking at the insurgency button here, probably not going to go great for Luhan. I think that is quite obvious. Okay. The National Southwestern Associated University. Since the Japanese were prevented from attacking the territories in the far west of China before peace was signed, the citizens of those regions enjoyed significantly greater freedom than their brethren held in the subjugation of the Nanjing government. As a result, in the aftermath of the Second Sino-Japanese War, the province of Yunnan became one of the last bastions of free Chinese intellectualism, as refugees fled to the southwest from the now enslaved homeland. The National Southwestern Associated University, called the NSAU for short in English, was the prime example of this. Of course, the Nanjing and Tokyo governments knew this. They constantly sent letters and threats, all of them impotent. There was nothing that either could do at such a distance for something so relatively inconsequential. Demanding that the NSAU be subjugated to restrictions or brought closer into harmony with the Pan-Asian concept, both Luhan and Long Yun take great pride in rubbishing any and all such demands when they came. As a result, the NSAU enjoyed a significant academic freedom despite the presence of a large group of Japanophiles. Thanks to the influence of this free university, the Yunnan State education was one of the best in the RGOC in terms of academic quality and learning atmosphere. However, there was a drawback to this. These intellectuals, rather than thanking Luhan for his magnanimity towards them, became increasingly dissatisfied with Luhan's collaborationism and more sympathetic to the NPA movement. They began to hope against hope that the legacy of the National Protection War would be reborn one day, that the spirit of the May 4th movement would be inherited and restored to glory. And it was not yet to be. There was no Chai leading them, so they all did for now was resort to limited protests and small gestures of assistance to the insurgencies for the moment. My chat has disconnected. Chat? Are we back? I mean, it looks like we're good. Okay. So. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. At least Twitch is okay. So. Yes, yeah, I can see you. I'm not too sure what's happening, but should be okay for now. Okay, taking control of the Vietnamese government. I mean, Vietnam is controlled by Japan as well. They are potentially a threat. I don't know if like Burma, Thailand, Laos, or Vietnam are actually going to join the war against us when that comes to pass. I don't think they will. Like, I think China creates its own separate faction, kind of separate to Japan, but I don't want to say that with 100% certainty. Because again, we're flying into like partially blind, right? Like, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I have an idea that may or may not be realistic. A new finding of tin. An archaeological project being undertaken by all three members of the Kunming Antiquarian Society have been attempting to uncover an ancient village that was burned down during the Taiping Rebellion. Though your efforts have been promising, already enough shreds to fill a wheelbarrow have been uncovered and the foundations of a large stone house have been made very excited. Far more impressively, an agent of ours have relayed that the three antiquarians had accidentally discovered a rather promising vein of tin. The surveyor dispatched from Kunming has written back explaining that not only have they found a single promising vein, but that the whole area is dotted with veins and outcroppings, which suggests that it is an ideal place to begin a whole complex of mines. Tin is one of our biggest experts already, and building up our raw material extraction can only bring good things into this great state. Mineral wealth is the wealth of kings. It is the wealth of the gods, and it shall be the wealth of Yunnan. We are fully prepared to seize it from its current owners when we were pleasantly surprised to learn that the site already belongs to the government. We must merely decide what to do with it. Before we sign off on this decision, we need to address a letter we've received from the Kunming Aquarian Society, begging us to give them just a few more days to remove everything of historical significance from the site. Permission denied. Absolutely not. All across Barrier Sphere joins the war. Okay, I mean, that's going to make things a lot harder. There's no there's no denying that. News moves slowly in Yunnan. An instruction can be sent in the provincial office and they can spend weeks deliberating their answer before sending it back. It can take months for couriers to carry messages from the sticks to the halls of power. A cousin of this Minister of the Financial Affairs insisted that she found a village in the south that still thought Yan Shikai was the emperor. So when 20 communiques were received in one day, the office goes into a bit of a panic. It seems everybody wants to get their hands on our tin. Tin for bronze, tin for canned goods, tin for all of the sphere, flowing from Yunnan. We thought we'd make a little bit of money. Well, we're not. We're going to make a tremendous amount of money. Early estimates have already been exceeded. The advantage we have right now is that this is a secret auction. None of the interested parties making the bids know how much anyone else is also bidding. This was, this is going to spread like a wildfire we just had last year. Only we won't have to cover this one up. May the highest bidder win. So I'm not too sure how we're going to be able to beat, you know, all of the conspiracy sphere, but we'll see. Okay, a nudge in the right direction. There's a side bet in the office as who's going to get the contract. The Zaibatsu, who has the most capital, but the least interested. The reorganization government, who wants to build up Chinese industry with Chinese resources. And they may well seek a symbolic victory over our mutual masters. The best odds are that neither of these two, but on the perennial favorite, the locals. A cabal of Yi landowners, keen to maintain our hegemony over Yunnan's land industry, are scrambling to pull enough resources together to compete with the big boys. This auction doesn't need to be left to the chance. We can put the thumb on the scales. After all, only we know what the bids are. We could favor our own people, ensuring that the great state of Yunnan will be made even greater by keeping our hands in our own pockets. We could favor the Republic, drawing Yunnan and China close again once more, or we could favor the Japanese, opening a door to ruthless exploitation, advancing mining techniques of the Zaibatsu. You know what? We'll keep our hands out of this. Let the best bidder win. It was Japan. God damn it. It would seem that there are some fine alchemists indeed, for we have turned tin into gold. The factories of the Empire have an endless hunger for our sweet mineral fruit, and we are more than content to let them pluck it from our hanging branch. Even as we speak, workers and engineers are flocking to Yunnan from across the sphere to start a high-tech, modern institution of extraction and exploitation. Not all is well, however. With great profits come great suffering. The village we turned out to house the engineers are homeless and destitute. The farmers who were unfortunate to live close to the new mine can only watch as their crops succumb to sickness. The landowners, who see this as the beginning of an end for their hegemony, turn their great wealth against the government. The reorganized Chinese government and the millions in their country who support it protest in the streets. Even the Japanese government is annoyed, seeing us as a little more than a sideshow. Still, just because our neighbors, our superiors, our inferiors, and most of our own people are worse off, doesn't necessarily mean that we are. Japan will benefit, we will surely benefit. The auction is over and we had hoped for a little more, but no matter. The money we have made from this interaction is an important thing. If we carefully manage this, we can bring our countrymen around to the reality of the situation and push Yunnan into the 20th century, with any luck before we reach the 21st century. One cannot help but wonder if we might have been better off in our own people, or if the government of China had won the auction, but then at least we could have been an important part of partnership. Not just another exploited state, but we cannot go back in time. The auction is over. Okay, so Japan's going to win the, they're going to get a little bit of income. Untapped potential, more resource gain, consumer goods, production 2.5. Japan will receive a small source of permanent income, around $50 million. I think, yeah, I mean, it'd be great if something happened in India. Like, I think, you know, Republic of India, the Ansin government, I think would be very, very interesting. Whenever that's actually added into the mod. Like, this has to be, like, an important region, right? Between Japan and the United States and Germany. But it doesn't really do anything yet. They're just kind of hanging out. Oh, they're getting some skeleton content? Well, I mean, that's good. What is the next update? I'm actually not 100% too sure what it's going to be. Okay, Colombian president has died in office. Not a concern of mine at all. Any way we can make more money? Probably not. Just because I want. Now we have like 7 power. I want to have more production units, but I can't do anything with that right now. A step downstairs. We both know fully why you're here, Chen. But what I want to know is, who would even begin to want to oppose me? Who could possibly be so misguided? Lu Han had spent this morning looking over the small mountain of reports on the growing resistance within Yunnan, and to say that even the sheer amount of reports was concerning would be inadequate, let alone what the reports themselves entailed. In short, sir, there are roughly 4 separate insurgencies within Yunnan at this moment. Namely, the bandits in the southwest, who are currently isolating themselves in the mountainous terrain, which have proven substantial challenge for law enforcement efforts. There are the remnants of the National Revolutionary Army fighting within the Burma Road, which has caused some trouble with transportation. There are the Chinese Communist Party fighting within the rural regions, and that is all to say nothing of the so-called National Protection Army within movement within our own armed forces, fomenting their nationalism and revanchism. And as you know, Lu Han nodded and then stood up from his desk, walking towards the glorified accountant of Chen. Now, Chen, what would you recommend that I do about these insurgents? It seems that we have enemies around every corner, in every facet of our government. We cannot simply stand with this aversion, tearing us apart from the inside. Now then, what do you say that I do about it? Chen stood quietly for a moment, thinking as what he should say. Root them out, sir? Lu Han smiled. Exactly. That's exactly what I plan to do, and know that I will not stop until Yunnan is safe. Safe from all those who would hope to tear it down. Lu Han gestured towards the door, and Chen nodded before walking out of his office. Lu Han sat back down at his desk, pouring himself a drink. It's going to be a long night. While it's important for Lu Han to crush down the insurgents of his regime, others may have different opinions towards them. Okay, the eternal threats. We got the remnants of the NRA. We've got the Chinese Communist Party. We've got bandits, and we have the greatest threat to the Lu Han government at this point in time is not a foe from without, but an opponent from within. Police cost right now is at 0. Police size that is at 0. Now, the thing is that I don't know if Lu Han can actually succeed in this. Like, I think no matter what, he's going to get rooted out. But we'll see. Maybe I guess whatever one is like the strongest, but I'm not too sure. So it's gonna be 41 points. Let's focus on the CCP. Oh, then the other ones are gonna get stronger. Okay, I see. So this one gets stronger when the communists go down, and presumably maybe vice versa. And then these two probably play against each other as well. Carrot and the stick. Strengthen efforts against the bandits. Sure, I mean, we'll spend some points on that. I think that seems okay. And then let's increase police size by 5, then garrison size by 5. Do this by 3, maybe. There we go. I don't know if this is good or bad, but we'll see. Hopefully, it comes at the end of the year. I mean, that's saying the Kaiserreich, right? They say the Russia update's supposed to drop by the by year's end. I mean, it'd be great. You know, have, you know, Kaiserreich Russia content, the New Order content, you know, more Red Dusk. I still want to play the Fire Rebirth, the Fire Ashes, whatever that mod's called. I still want to give that a try. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon, for sure, for sure. And there's some other mods too, you know, smaller ones. I still got to do more Cult of Krieg. I think it's been like a month since the last episode came out, but it might be more than a month now. I'm not too sure. Is it still called Von der Ash? The fire rises. Yes, yes, yes. I still don't know who I want to play in it, though. One reason I haven't done it yet is because I'm not 100% sure which faction I want to try in that. What turns a man to cry? The night sky over Yunnan's highest mountains was beautiful. The stars and the moon stood far above everything else, though they hardly caught the attention of a half-dozen bandits that sat around the crackling fire, sharing stories and the pitifully small meal. And if it could even be called that. The most recent addition to the ranks of these bandits, however, was a man named Huang. By midnight, the moon was up, and the last bites of food had been eaten. All that was left was for the rest of the night were the stories. For lack of alternatives, Huang had taken the metaphorical stage. Well, Huang, how do you wind up here? The smiles were still lingering around the fire, and many were beginning to want to call it a night. The man in question was young, no older than 25, and had the face and posture of a hungry man, but had certainly anything but the body of a starving man. Well, I came here from northern Yunnan, and actually there, the landlords, they and Lu Han's thugs, they did whatever they wanted. My family, you see, they weren't rich folks, just farmers. One day, my mom got sick. We thought it was typhoid. We worked to keep her healthy. Traded with the closest that we had to a pharmacist. We traded plenty for what we had for medication. We didn't make rent. The circle grew quiet. All that could be heard was the crackling of the flames. They came for our crops first. There wasn't anything which we had left. We'd already given them everything that we had, you know. They still came. They set it all alight. There wasn't much left by then, but they still called it a warning and expected us to pay by next week. Obviously, we all knew we couldn't. And they definitely knew too. Otherwise, we wouldn't have left. The mountains grew completely silent, even as the fire had faded into the ash. The mountains would only grow closer in total silence as the months grew longer. Yeah, I do know they did change the national populism color to green, which I think is fine. Again, I've not played the Denmark update, which also is something I have to do. The Zealot. Amidst the intellectuals of the National Southwestern Associated University, one young teacher stood head and shoulders above the rest, Jang, the professor of electrical engineering. This man was one of the most talented and passionate academics the college had ever seen. But academic qualities alone did not contribute to Jang's fame. What made him outshine his peers was his particularly progressive, albeit subtle, political views. Most notable all were two things. First, his zealous hatred of Japan's colonialism that it passed off as Pan-Asianism. And second, his open and harsh disgust towards Luhan's program of collaboration with Nanjing. It all came as no surprise that Jang was known to sympathize openly with the insurgencies, particularly the NPA. In furtherance of that ideology, nowadays he has started holding some talks and lectures in the humanities. While his influence was growing day by day, Jang currently was merely treated as someone sympathetic to the reformists led by Tao Xishan, an old friend of the president himself. Jang's proactivity in Nanjing matters only reinforced this view. This combined with the relative academic freedom seen in the NSAU, and the fact that as far as anybody knew, Jang only spoke and did not act, protected Jang from trouble thus far. Of course, if they realized that Jang was really up to, he would have been arrested and even beheaded as a traitor and a reactionary. Furthermore, for Jang, most others knew nothing about him beyond the basics that he had been stated above. The complete picture of Jang and his actions was known only to a few, almost all outsiders, far away from Luhan's reach. Nonetheless, Jang was now a rising star in Yunnan as proof of the growing reformist influence. It was not yet known just how much of Yunnan would be influenced by this zealous young man. Someone to watch out for. Okay. Decisions available. Improved administration. So this is going to fight against the CCP. Sure, why not? Because I kind of want to get like some nationalist group. I don't know if there's any difference between the blue and the brown. But I want one of those two. I don't want to have the bandits take over. I don't want to go. I don't want to go communist. So we're going to try to get one of those two groups. Assuming that there even is a choice, there might not be. But we shall see. Okay. Land of Thieves, Show No Mercy. I don't like... do we have to do all of these? My gut is probably yes. I don't know if there's a way to bypass it. Or, I mean, there could be like a coup and this whole tree just changes. You know, the New Order does like to do that. Where they'll give you like this whole tree of things that you can do, and it'll be like, oh, sorry, I know you had this like big tree available for, you know, JFK, for example, but you got shot, so that actually it's all gone now. It's all placeholders. And I think there's one time when I did when I was I don't know who I was playing. It was somebody in the US, but I did like the focus no check, but in between episodes to kind of see what was going to happen, because I don't even remember why. This is years ago at this point. And I think the events basically told you to fuck off for cheating. No, I think it's because he died. And then I reloaded the previous save. And I was like, what do all these events actually do? And they're like, you're cheating to even be here. Get out of here. Anyways. Out of the mountains. Wang had gotten used to his monthly routines. And had begun to take pride out of what he did for a living. It took some time. But eventually he found justification for his useless moral quandaries. If this was what anybody had needed to do to make a living, then it was justified. If there proved no alternative, then it was morally correct. So Huang reminded himself as he looked over the village ahead of him. It was an insulting sight, a dozen or so of Yunnan's army, already greatly concerning. Even more concerning was his army of citizens fortifying the center intersection. If the people had cooperated with the army of Yunnan, then Huang's gang had been raiding far too frequently. Something to note later. How Huang's gang of similarly trained bandits would beat back government forces consisting of twice their size was a harrowing thought, barely reassured by his allies around him. No, it'll work out. With the element of surprise. This'll work. It didn't even sound like the bandits believed it, let alone convince the rest of the thieves. Anyone got any ideas? Huang asked a collection of bandits, himself among them. The village was well defended, and it became clear that the citizens may have already been, may very well be among the village's defenders. No. The gunfire from the farmhouse there. The bandits had continued to debate the best course of action. From the looks of it, things weren't looking up. We could always, hold on. Never mind. The group looked at each other. Desperation painted across their faces. Maybe we should just go home. Okay. Show no mercy. We'll loosen the restrictions that placed upon the garrison police forces, strengthen their efficiency against threats. Sounds good to me. Okay, so what do you actually do? The insurgencies are acting. Every 2 weeks, the power of the external-internal threats will grow between 0.5 and 3. And they will attempt to attack our security forces, which may decrease the size of the forces by 0 to 2. Besides allocating security forces, adjusting our spending accordingly also helps in us countering the insurgencies. After 2 weeks of power, the insurgencies will change by... Okay, so the bandits are losing power. Everybody else is getting a little bit more powerful. But the bandits are still pretty tough. Let's go 5 and 5. I think that seems okay. Focus more on the bandits, please. So if you fight the bandits, then the NPA gets a little bit more powerful. Okay, so it's good. It's good to kind of see, where these balance out. But I'll also say it's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. If you enjoyed, thumbs up. Not enjoying, thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.